This show is sponsored by Carpet Direct of Des Moines, Iowa. Welcome to Half Full and a Cup of Joe with Joe Fulford, the show that's always overflowing with optimism and caffeine. Joe's got his game face on and his coffee cup full, ready to dive into the world of football. From the Florida Gators to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and beyond to college and NFL football, Joe's got the analysis, the insights, and the passion to get you pumped up and ready for the game. So sit back, relax, and fill up your cup with Joe. And now from West Des Moines, Iowa, here is Joe Fulford.
I don't know what to say here. I am a little shocked right now. I just cannot believe what I had read before I came on this show tonight. And we got a great show lined up for you. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. And I got to tell you, and I'm going to be very honest with you, it is cold here in the confines of Des Moines, Iowa, West Des Moines, I should say. Welcome to Half Full Cup of Joe. Yours truly, Joe Fulford, here with you on a beautiful Thursday night where it's kind of cold outside, a little bit snowy. But down in Gainesville, down in the swamp, it is hot. It is on fire. And for the Florida Gators, these boys right here, yes, I get it mixed up here. These guys know, I mean, it's just amazing what's happened with this team. I mean, I'm just in awe by what happened here. Florida Gators, they go into the confines of the swamp. Their home team, 90,000 plus, sold out crowd to take on the LSU Fighting Tigers, who I believe at the time were six. I believe they were six, the number 6 team in the country at the time. Can't be too positive that. We'll ask our guests a little bit later on. But anyway, they come into the swamp. It was a back and forth kind of game till the third quarter when Gators were able they were able to recover an LSU fumble. And how that happened was amazing. LSU had the ball on a drive. They go down and they run the ball, but the running back fumbled the ball. LSU picks up the ball and starts, another LSU player picks up the ball and starts running it, only to fumble that ball. Gators recover, they take over, and the rest becomes history. As a matter of fact, let me tell you exactly what happened on that. Let's see here. Okay, with LSU ball. Okay, it was the 36th play when T.J. Searcy forced a Garrett Nussmeier fumble. LSU Emory Jones Jr. recovered the ball at the 17. Then he fumbles it, and Caleb Banks recovered the fumble. And from there on, the momentum started building. You heard the third quarter won't back down, and you could feel the excitement actually building, and you could feel the vibes in the stadium just building. And you just knew that this was going to be one hell of a great game. One hell of a great game. And it was just amazing to see the game as it unfolded. I gotta make sure that I'm on here on Facebook. Yes, I am. And as I watched everything develop and seeing how everything just transpired, which resulted in the 55-yard run by freshman sensation Jaden Ball to running in for the score. I mean, it was just totally unbelievable. Totally unbelievable. You know? I got chair issues, so I apologize for that. So, I'm gonna have to deal with that here tonight. But nonetheless, It was a great game. Now they have a chance to come to the, and now it's Ole Miss's turn to come to the Swamp. And I got to tell you, things have just gotten fired up, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. Now, Lon Meadows usually joins me on the show, and I love Lon. He's great. He is fantastic. There's just one man, though, that's the king of all Gator football information. You know? He knows the Gators like the back of his hand. He's been there for an eternity. In fact, it's not surprising to me that they don't have a statue in his name. They should at least name the press box after him. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. And for the first time this season, I'm so happy to welcome my good friend, Scott Carter of FloridaGators.com. How are you, buddy? Okay, all right, let's see what's going on. You're on mute. Somehow you're on mute because I cannot hear you. Hang on a second. Let me make sure. Raise your hand if you can hear me. You can hear me. Okay. All right. So why I can't hear you, I have no idea. Am I on? Hang on. Yeah. Let's let Scotty work out his technical issues, and he'll be right back here in just a minute. Let me make sure I'm on. Yeah, I'm on my thing. Let me do something. Just one thing, real quick, and let me make sure I can hear him. And because I just heard him pop up here. Hang on. Yep. Okay. Yep. I can hear. So we'll get Scott Carter to come back on here in just a minute here as he tries to get his technical issues worked out. And Buford Benton is watching me tonight there from Gainesville. Hey there. I got Scott Carter here that's going to join me in a minute. So please feel free to ask your questions as we get ready to talk about. Okay, so we think we have the king of all, hear all, know all, see all. He is the Karnak of Florida Gator football, Scott Carter. Is that a great nickname for you?
Well, I'll take that. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you just fine, my friend.
It was something with the microphone settings, so I actually figured it out, man. I'm proud of myself.
Whoa! He's a technical geek. There you go, people. Like the beard, like got a nice office back there.
Well, you were saying that I've been around for a while. You can tell now with my beard, it's going all white, man.
I am too. Hey, I'm getting there too, but I'm sporting the Billy Napier look. I just got to get a little bit more, but I do have the hair for it. If that works. How are you? We have not talked to you at all this year, man.
It's been a while. Yeah, we didn't have a trip to Missouri, so we didn't see you out there.
And we're not gonna have one next year, unfortunately.
No, yeah, that's taking a little break. So went out to Texas a couple weeks ago. That didn't go too well, but they came home last week and went much better. So it's been a very unusual season, Animal. Probably the weirdest since I've been around, just because of the fact that the loss to Miami just kind of turned up the intensity and the noise right away. And then it's just been an up and down season, but they're trying to finish it strong here, and that's where we are. So only two more left, Ole Miss and Florida State. So both are big for the Gators.
Well, and let us start. Let us start it right there. The Miami game. It was a debacle during the week. Everybody, people like David Waters and other people were saying, and look, I'm not going to criticize David. He has a job to do, and I understand all that. But it was like, we don't think Billy Napier is going to be back. In fact, I'd be surprised if he lasts the whole year. Even on Discord, which is a channel, some of those people are saying Billy Napier was not going to be back. I tried to preach patience. They thought I was a spam kind of guy. This just in. The spam guy knows pretty much football.
Yeah, you saw, Scott Strickland's message before the Texas game that Billy Napier is going to be back, and it's one of those situations, Animal, where there was speculation going into the season. What did Billy Napier have to do? What did the Gators have to do to kind of secure his place? But my thinking all along was, I saw this team kind of being about a 6 or 7 win team at tops. And then, hopefully year 4 is when it really takes off. But the schedule was so difficult this year. And I still think the roster, while it's improved a lot, I still think there's some improvement needed there. But that's just the nature of the times we live. Anybody can say anything at any time, and it spreads like wildfire. And we've heard everything that he was going to be going after the A&M game to now, he's here for 225. So that's just the way it is in this day and age, Animal. But bottom line is, I think if you look at the big picture and you really understand all the dominoes at play, I think it's probably smart to give him another year right now.
Well, of course it is.
So,
of course it is, considering everything that's going on. Going into the year, I figured, okay, here's what my thinking was. Let us go into the year. We have this so-called superb quarterback and a guy by the name of DJ Lagway. And I'm not big on freshman guys coming in and thinking that they can make a big impact. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So I'm thinking, okay, we got a guy like DJ Lagway. Yeah. We're all excited about it. Merce gets hurt. Lagway comes in, and then all of a sudden things start picking up on a different. It was almost on a different level with Lagway being in there. Nothing against Graham Mertz. Mertz had his own style, his own way of doing things. But once Lagway got in there, it was like a totally different upbeat vibe. And the more the people got into that vibe from a team standpoint, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it seemed to me like the more they got into the vibe, that's when they started playing a lot better.
Yeah, I think DJ Lagway certainly provided a jolt for the team. I can't say that they're any more behind DJ Lagway than they were Graham Mertz, but there's no denying that DJ has a different skill set. And I'm like you, Animal.
Yeah, skill set.
I'm not one of those guys who believes that many freshmen are going to come in and change the world, but I've seen enough of DJ now that he's really impressed me, not only as a player, but I was listening to him in this press conference the other night after the LSU game. And this guy, man, he just is so smooth and so wise beyond his years. Obviously,
and he gets it.
Yeah, he has a really good football IQ.
Yeah.
He gets the big picture in terms of the fans, the media, his role as the face of the program. And I'm going to sit here and say I'll be very surprised if DJ Lagway doesn't have a very successful and long college and pro career. I think he's that good as long as he's healthy. And I think he is the building block that, the Gators have to turn this thing around. And he's just a difference maker, man. You hear that term a lot, and it gets overused, but I think in his case, he truly is a difference maker, and that's what Florida needs right now.
Scott Carter, FloridaGators.com, joining me on Half Full and Cup of Joe. I got to do a sponsorship here. Sponsored by the fine people, Carpet Direct, for all your carpeting needs in the Des Moines area. Give my good friend Benton Taylor a call. You know how it is snowing here up in Iowa. You know how carpets get dirty and everything. You need it replaced. Give him a call. He'll be more than happy to come out, take a look at you, and mention that you heard Half Full Cup of Joe. And I don't know, he might give you a discount. I'm not sure. Don't hold me to that, though. I'm just saying. But give my good friend Ben Taylor a call. Corporate Direct, West Des Moines, Iowa. So we get into Mertz gets injured, goes out. Lagway starts taking over. And I'm going to get into that in just a minute. But first, here's what I want to do for the people. And here's what was so wild about the game. here was so wild about the game. Okay, I'm gonna give you some. I'm gonna give you some numbers. Okay, total yards 390 for LSU to 226. Rushing 128 to 113. Let's see. 6 sacks on the day for the Florida Gators. But here's what really gets me when you think about it. 92 plays for LSU, 43 for the Florida Gators. And I'm looking on their and Scotty, I'm looking on their stat sheet here on FloridaGators.com. I do not see a time of possession, but I do believe that LSU won that battle.
Yeah, I think it was almost
I
2-1.
wasn't it like a 2-to-1 ratio
It was
almost?
almost 40-20. I think I can't remember the
Yeah.
number exactly, but yeah, you very rarely see a game animal where one team runs 50 more plays than the other, and the winning team was the one that ran less. So that gives you an idea of the Gators' defense. It was certainly a bend don't break kind of night, and they got those 6 sacks, some of them coming at critical times. And that was the difference. And then they got the late run by Jaden Ball to kind of seal the win. So it was
55-yard run.
it was a nice team win. I thought the defense really responded well after the performance at Texas, and that was not just a defensive bad outing out there. I mean, the whole team they just did not play well, and we've heard a lot of talk about this team this year. It seems like it's been a constant chatter in the fans and the media about this team has not quit on Billy Napier. And there's no doubt that that's true. I mean, you don't win a game like LSU if your team is quit, because LSU still had a lot to play for that game. And of course, the same is going to be said for Ole Miss. And I don't know the Gators if they can pull the upset off or not, but I do expect them to go out there and put up a good fight and make Ole Miss earn it. Because they're going to be, I think about a 9.5-point underdog. Ole Miss is playing for a college football playoff berth. Florida's playing for bowl eligibility. So again, both teams have something at stake here, just different things.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Lane Kiffin, I think once people get wind of these comments that have come out, I think it's just gonna cause the stadium to erupt big time. More on that in just a few minutes. Put some post-game notes here. Let's see. Gators delivered his third win for AP 25 of the Billy Napier era, and they won at least the Gators have won at least one ranked game in all 3 years in Billy Napier's tenure. That's a pretty good accomplishment. And I was looking through the post game notes delivered by Scotty Burns and Company, and during lunch today I decided to take a look at the Gator game, and all I was seeing was Lagway to Badger, Lagway to Badger, Lagway to Badger. I mean, it was just unbelievable. He hit Badger 6 times for 23, 19, 17, 24, 36. I mean, it was just unbelievable, and that seemed to be the combination that it's getting hot for the Gators.
Yeah, Lagway and Badger have had good chemistry all year when they're both out there on the field. They both were not playing against Texas, and it showed. But they returned last week. I think Badger had 6 catches, 131 yards, and of course, I thought the best throw that DJ made all night was the 36-yarder to him. One of the few times, actually the only time I think in the game, where he was forced to move up in the pocket, and he kind of jumped through the ball. It was a beautiful throw that got the Gators down to the 1-yard line. And then I think Jacoby Jackson scored on the next play. And
yes, that's right.
Again, that's just a play that DJ Lagway makes as a playmaker. And Badger's proven to be very consistent. I think he's averaging 23 yards a catch. So, I mean, he's a big play guy. And then you got Chim DK on the other side, who's really come along and had a nice season. So having those 2 veteran receivers at his disposal has been, I think, critical for DJ Lagway, because without Eugene Wilson, he's needed those veterans to kind of help him along the way, and they certainly done their job. He's done his, and I think that's a big reason that if Florida, if they end up playing a really good game on Saturday and they surprise us, I think you'll see the deep passing game be a big factor.
Oh, I mean, well, yeah, especially since the fact that DJ Lagway has another week to get ready for them, considering he came off this hamstring. Scott Carter, yours truly, Joe Fulford here in this edition of Half Full and Cup of Joe, and I'm reading some of the stats here that it was just amazing. Uh, and as I look back on the game and everything, it was slow right up until that fumble in the third quarter. LSU fumbles, they pick up the ball, then they fumble again, then Caleb Banks recovers it, and that just tore it up into another level that got culminated by, well, I won't back down. I mean, it was just totally amazing. Take us. What is it like at that moment? Won't back down. I mean, I know you're in the press box, but have you ever been on the field to experience it in person? I mean, what's it
Yeah,
like?
I have been there a couple of times on the field. I mean, it's really a great tradition that they started in 2017, and you never know how quick something like that is gonna pick up with the fans, but instantly it became a hit, kind of like most of Tom Petty's songs. So it just added something unique at the Swamp, and every time it happens, especially those night games, animal man, it's just something in there. If the Gators are winning at the end of the third quarter, and it's a night game. There's nowhere quite like being there in that moment. Obviously, the vibe's a little different when they're losing or it's a day game, but it's always a time when you're sitting there thinking, man, you know what? This is really cool being here. And again, I think it's in 8 seasons. I think it's become one of the best traditions in college football. You see it going viral on social media every Saturday home game, and it's been around now for several years. So people are still, engaged with it and excited by it.
Scott Carter joining us here on this edition of Pat Cup of Joe. Why did ABC put that as a day game? I mean, with the playoffs on the line for Ole Miss and Florida playing well with DJ Lagway, didn't make a lot of sense for them. Hey, let's put this in nighttime, put this in prime time. What was ABC thinking?
Yeah, I don't. I was a little surprised at noon. I thought it might go 3:30 again, like the LSU game did, but I don't know exactly what the slate of games is that day that they're showing. I mean, it's such a year where there's so many good teams. There's so many good teams vying for the playoffs that you're gonna get stuck in that slot sometimes. That's just the way it goes. I think we all know night games at the Swamp are the best, but it'd be nice to see Florida come out and get one of these big, afternoon wins. And I mean, if they can somehow find a way to beat Ole Miss, I mean, as much as this season's been a roller coaster and certainly had its kind of peaks and valleys, that would be a new peak for the whole season.
Well, and I think it assures Billy Napier of that job security. I mean, yeah, you come out with a statement, you say, okay, Billy Napier's our coach for the foreseeable future. But you know how things go at the end of the year. They tend to, decide, okay, we're gonna make a change. I don't think this is the case. I think Strickland finally realizes he had something pretty darn special working with Napier, Lagway, Ball, and company, and the defense who was getting criticized like heck early on in the year may now have found his rhythm. I mean, it's late, but yeah, I think they have found their rhythm.
Yeah, I mean, they played a lot better. What's been surprising about that is how many guys they've lost. I mean, they're playing
Yeah,
right now without their two starting cornerbacks and Jason Marshall Jr. and Devin Moore. They've lost,
that's right. Yeah.
they've lost R.J. Moten at times.
Yep.
They're without Pup Howard for their second straight game. They've lost a lot of guys and yet they're getting some young players stepping up and getting production like Jaden Robinson, the linebacker. I think his emergence has really been key. Trequazi Bridges, moving the corner. He's been a good veteran piece there. And of course, we're finally getting to see Cormani McClain. He's still learning on the job, but he's holding his own, at the other cornerback. So overall, I think it was part scheme, part a sense of urgency. Some things they turned up in practice. They changed their practice habits on that side of the ball. And I think all those things have improved and led to these in-season improvements, which, it's hard to do that in season, but they certainly have shown drastic improvement on that side of the ball.
Okay. Help me to, and we'll get into the Ole Miss game here in just a minute, and you're going to get a kick out of this here in just a minute. Napier was talking to the media yesterday, and he talked about something with the NCAA where they're doing roster reductions to like 105 players. I don't
that's
understand.
Proposed like when this House settlement with the NIL goes into effect. The proposal is that college football rosters will be maxed out at 105. Right now, like Florida has 131 this year. Now that's counting walk-ons, obviously. So you're looking at 85 scholarship players and an additional, they have an additional, 31 plus 15, 46 walk-ons. So you're looking at a lot less walk-ons in the future if this goes into place. And what he's talking about is that impacts the way you practice, because obviously what walk-ons mostly do, they're out there running the scout teams at practice, and that gives, the first and second teams good practice looks. And then, through the course of a season, usually this time of year, Animal, you're looking at about 12, 15, 20 guys who are not practicing a lot of days because they're all banged up.
Yeah, look at the injury. Look at the injury report.
Yeah, so you need to have those guys. So that was the discussion, and there's a lot of unknowns there that still I think everybody's going to try to figure out. But I just think it's a way to maybe save money in the future as you have to pay more, as you pay players. So we'll see what that looks like one day.
I get a kick out the injury report that comes out every week, and they'll list like 9 players who are out. Well, these guys are out for the year; they're not playing anymore. So why put them on? Why put them on that injury report? Just because it looks pretty confusing. But they look to be in pretty good shape this week against Ole Miss. I don't know.
Yeah, there's 11 out, which of all the ones who are out, I think all of them were out last week too. Rod Kearney is the only one listed as questionable this week. So Montrell Johnson's off the questionable list. Obviously, Badger was the week before. He's back in. The one that really, the only new guy who, he was out last week too is Pup Howard, who was, having a good season. But he's been banged up, so I don't know if he'll get back or not this season. But he's going to miss his second straight game on Saturday. But again, Jaden Robinson's help there. Shamar James was SEC Defensive Player of the Week.
Did you see him on Out of Pocket last night?
I saw something up on my TV. I didn't have the sound on, but I know he did a couple of TV appearances this week.
Yeah, he did a thing with Alyssa Lang and the Tennessee running back on Out of Pocket. Good interview. I like Shamar James a lot. And I think that what is he, a junior, senior? What?
He is a junior. He's
junior, so he'll have one more year. So,
yeah, he's obviously developed into a leader and a good player, somebody that they build around. So
Graham Mertz, 6-year player. I don't know if he can get a hardship. I think that's out of the question now. What's in store for him in his future? Do you see him going to the NFL? What do you think?
Yeah, he's definitely he's trying to get healthy for Pro Day in March. I don't know if he's going to be able to get fully back to where he can do everything he'd like to. But his goal is to work out at Pro Day here. And yeah, I do see Graham. If you've been around Graham, you realize how smart he is, and he's one of those quarterbacks that I think he could find a place in NFL for a long time as a backup, emergency quarterback. I talk to Shane Matthews all the time about this, and Shane jokes about it. I mean, Shane had one of the best jobs in the NFL. He was a backup quarterback for 15 years. He hardly ever got hit and beat up in games. But he was in NFL for 15 years.
Yeah, I mean,
I could see Graham Mertz, maybe doing something like that. He's certainly smart enough, and I think he could find his spots to where he would play and be productive. But he's a different kind of quarterback, obviously, than what a lot of NFL teams are going to now. So you just have to find the right spot.
Half Full Cup of Joe, Scott Carter, FloridaGators.com. Yours truly here with you on a beautiful Thursday night. If you got questions for Scott, get him on because he's only going to be here for just a few more minutes. Let's talk about the Ole Miss game now. DJ Lagway's a little bit healthier. The injury report looks pretty decent. And conversations that you've had this week with the players, take us on the inside. Take us inside that locker room. I mean, I get the feeling that these guys think that they are on a whole new level, that they have a lot of confidence, and that's a key confidence, that they think that they could very well beat Ole Miss.
Well, I think there is definitely a renewed confidence in the building this week. They were pretty beaten down after the Texas loss, and they were also beaten up. I mean, but they started getting some guys back last week, and then they go out and produce that big win against LSU. So without question, there's some more optimism. And I think, if you asked me 2-3 weeks ago, do they have a chance against Ole Miss? I'm probably not liking them to put up a decent fight, but they're at home. They got some energy. It's a noon game, and I just know how noon games are, especially for the road team. It's hard, man, to roll out of your hotel. And, it's the same for the Gators, but they're at least being at home, it's a little easier to get up and go to your stadium and play. When you're the road team, man, I've done this many times with the Gators. You roll out of bed 2-3 hours before you leave, and they get loosened up. Then you take the bus over to the stadium. You're there for 2.5 hours for the game, and it's just a lot of you kind of waking up as the morning unfolds. And then it's like kickoff time. Let's go play football.
Yeah, but see, look at your bright side. At least you can go into the press box, have a free breakfast, and have a free lunch. And you know what? You might even get a free dinner, depending how late you are doing your stories.
That is, that's true, Animal. You do have to look at the bright side. And
you do have to look at the bright.
I've had so many of those breakfasts. I actually need to go work out with the players more.
I mean, well, I'm not going to comment on your structure and all that. We'll leave that for another day. But I want you to comment on something now. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to pull up something here. I just found this out a few minutes before I came on to do the show. I was doing some surfing on X and everything. And I came across this comment that Ole Miss sent out. Let me bring it up here, okay? Let's see here. This is what it is right here, okay? Let me see here. Can you see that? This is Lane Kiffin. This is Lane Kiffin, and he makes a comment, and he says, and I quote, "Thankfully, the swamp isn't what it used to be. We will handle the noise just fine." Now, when you see that, shouldn't that be motivation enough, not just for the fans, but also for the players?
Yeah, I mean, that's the first time I've seen that. I've been off X the last couple hours, so I don't know much about oldhottitoddy.com, so I don't know if that's legit or not. I would be surprised if he said that 2 days before the game, but you never know. Lane Kiffin's a pretty cocky guy. So
you know what you ought to do? And I will send this to you. You ought to put it on your pregame note. The pregame. No, I'm serious. You should put that. You should put that. I'm giving you exclusive permission to put that on. Okay, and put that on there and let people that see that get. get rolled up, and
So they
get
need to
into the
put that
swamp.
on they need to put that on the scoreboard before the game. And just
Well,
get the
well,
fans in the stadium riled up.
that's what I'm saying. You're the man. You're FloridaGators.com.
All
Take
right,
that photo. Give it to you guys.
I go see if
Seriously.
I go see if I can make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, after the show, I'll send that to you through X, and so you can. In fact, you know what I'm going to do right now? Hang on, just a second here. Let me see here. Copy it. Let me get on you, Scott Carter, right here. Let me do this right now, and boom! I've just sent it to you. Yeah, take it to them. Make them let them see that on the scoreboard, man.
That's
Let
good.
them know that a guy from Des Moines, Iowa, has a say in Florida Gator football. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Sitting there in your Gators jersey, man.
That's right, and I do. I do. I got my Gators jersey. I got my cup of Joe here.
Look at you,
With
man.
my Gator logo. Hey, I even have a double here, buddy boy. NFL mug with my name on it and Gators,
You're ready, buddy.
and then a drink that I cannot mention
Didn't
on
you
the
get
air.
down to a game last year, a couple years ago here?
No, I have not been in the swamp. I've not been in the swamp in a couple of years, but I will say last year when I came down for Christmas, I was able to get a tour of the swamp. I was able to walk in the stadium, and I was able to see Keith Niebauer.
Yeah.
It was funny with Keith. He was doing a live shot inside the stadium, and I saw him. I knew who he was, but he had to get out because he wasn't getting a reception. So we walk out of the stadium. We walk to whatchamacallit, the facility, the brand new facility. They wouldn't let me in to tour it. I'm shocked and appalled by that. And there's Keith talking, and we were able to talk for a few minutes. Nice guy. So, okay. We're all happy. We're all excited about the Gators. Saturday night, Saturday afternoon, 12 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Central Time. Catch it on ABC. But Scotty, there's also something else not related to football, but of a legal nature with the basketball team in Todd Golden. I know you don't cover basketball. That's Chris Harry's deal. I understand that. By the way, tell him I said hello when you get a chance. What's the latest from what you're hearing on that? I mean, it sounds like Florida's supporting Todd Golden.
Yeah, I mean, you guys saw the statement. These are kind of difficult issues because they're involving investigations, and usually these don't even get out publicly. So I'm kind of surprised that the story hasn't moved forward either way in the last 10 days. It's kind of sitting there. So that tells me that there's still a lot of information that we don't know, and that could be good for Todd Golden, or it could go the other way. I just don't know. I just know that that he's continuing to coach the team and that they're off to a good start. And you just hope that whatever comes out of this, that that I guess justice is served. That if that's him being falsely accused, you hope that he can somehow reclaim some of his reputations. That's a tough thing. And again, I just don't know that enough about it, and why I'm not investigating this reporter. I'm curious, like you are, like what's the next story that's going to come out? I don't know. It's just one of those things that here at the office is it's being handled on the legal side.
Right. And I understand all that. I was just,
No, it's a legit question. I mean, I'm as curious as anyone else.
Yeah. They don't have a president right now, and talking Lauren Meadows says that they're not going to hire a president until mid-March or April.
I would say that's a fair timeline, maybe even later. I mean, is
administration kind of worried about what happens? I mean, have they talked about that behind the scenes, or is that like we don't worry about it? We're interested in what's happening on the field.
Well, I think there's always concern, or there's always that dialogue that goes back and forth between the university side and the athletic side.
Right.
They're working together on a lot of big picture stuff. But yeah, anytime you have a transition in leadership, which the university is right now, they've got a presidential committee formed, I think a 15-member search committee. I'm sure they'll cipher through the candidates and hopefully get someone in that chair sooner than later. And then, of course, with the athletic side, depending on how this plays out, there's could be some things down the road that change, or maybe not. You just don't know because there's so many unknowns. I mean, I think football side, it seems like Napier is definitely the guy for a while, and then we'll see how the basketball stuff turns out. So it's as I like to tell people, Animal, it's never boring around here. There's always something going on, but that's why I've always enjoyed being around Florida and the Gators, because you want to be somewhere where people care about the teams, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't do this job at, I don't know, Texas Wesleyan.
I gotta tell you, when I met Billy Napier last year for the first time, he had been doing TV meetings and everything. He looked so tired, but he took a minute to talk to me, which I found to be such a great guy. Behind the microphones, when you're private, is he the same way?
Yeah, Billy Napier is Billy Napier. He's no different in front of the camera, with fans, with his players, with behind the scenes. That's why I've always told people, and being nice isn't enough, right? In big time college football.
No.
If maybe people, if I was coach, they might like me, but they would fire me if I went 1-11. That's just the life of the biz.
Oh yeah, sure.
But it's nice when you have someone like Billy Napier. You kind of root for him a little extra because he treats people right. He's a good guy, and I really hope he succeeds, because I do think he's doing a lot of good things. And I just hope that the wins start to pile up a little bit more for him.
Well, and that LSU did win actually helped them out big, because they got some recruits over the course of the past 3 days, one per day. They're going up in the rankings. So
yeah,
the more you win, the more the good things happen.
Yeah, it really is.
Winning cures all. But we got some interesting news shortly before we came on the air. The top recruit out of the 2025 class, Bryce Underwood, is switching his commitment and going to Michigan. I don't know if you heard that yet, but that just came out a little while ago. In fact, Adam Schefter broke the news on ESPN a little while ago.
This is flipping season, Animal.
That's what and you know what? That Billy Napier's been able to do that, flip a few guys and get him on there. So I think it's just tremendous. I've taken you more than what. This is great, but I know that you've been got a lot on your plate. Keep that picture in mind. Give that to the people. I'm serious. You should post that.
Yeah.
Seriously.
If they put it up on the board, I'll take a picture and send it to you.
Yeah, send it to me, and please do the thing. Won't back down for me one last time, just so I know. So it makes me, and if you can do Gator Walk, I don't know if you can or not, but yeah. I love Gator Walk. I've experienced Gator Walk in Missouri, and that is awesome. And what's funny? You mentioned a few moments ago about have I been to the swamp? The last time that I was at the swamp was 2008. I kid you not. Ironically, it was against the Ole Miss Rebels when they lost the game, and Tim Tebow gave that inspiring speech after the game. Was one of my that was I think that was my first experience there. So there's actually some ties to this game that's even related to
me. Yeah. I mentioned that in my opening kickoff that's running tomorrow. It's been 16 years since that promise. How about that, man? It's hard to believe it's been that long, isn't it?
Oh man, it's unbelievable.
2008.
I know. It's just.
And then after that game, see that's when they went on a nice winning streak. I think they won.
Yes.
I don't know, 22 in a row or something after that game.
Something,
They went on to win the national championship in 08. Then they were 13-0 or 12-0 in 09 before obviously they lost to Alabama. So yeah, they went on a heck of a winning streak after that game.
What's been the most? Go ahead.
No, I mean those are the days that we all want to see back, right?
Oh yeah. What's been for you? What's been the most surprising thing that you've seen in college football this year?
Oh man, I think the thing that shocked me a couple of things was the season that Vanderbilt. I mean, there's nothing that's going to top the Vanderbilt beating #1 Alabama. That's number one. But number two was the week that I looked at the AP Top 25. It was mid-season, and both Army and Navy were ranked, and they were both undefeated. It was the first time, I think, since the 60s. It was the first time in my lifetime that both had been ranked at the same time in mid-season. So that was pretty cool. So those are the things that just jump out. But Animal, when it happened back in, September, when I was watching the Alabama Vanderbilt game here at the press box before our game, and the whole press box was stuck on it. We couldn't believe it. I mean, that's why you love sports, man. You love sports to see stuff like that.
Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Indiana, Notre Dame, Alabama, Miami, Ole Miss, which was 8-2, Georgia, Tennessee, Boise State. A lot of people say Tennessee doesn't have a chance. I tend to disagree. I think they're a good team. Yeah. But I mean, okay, we close it out. Give us 2 or 3 things that we should be looking forward to in the game that you think is going to be very important.
Number one, I think the pass rush of Ole Miss. They lead the country with 46 sacks. It kind of pains me to say, but Princely Umamulen leads the SEC with 9.5. So the former Gator is going to be back. So the Gators are going to have to somehow contain that pass rush, because whatever DJ Lagway is Saturday, he's still not going to be 100%. So he's going to be more of a pocket passer again. So you need to give him time. That's number one. Then flip that over. I think number two is the Gators have to find a way to slow down Jackson Dart and that Ole Miss offense. They're second in the country, I think, in total offense. They're averaging 540 yards a game. So I mean, this is a high profile offense. We know Lane Kiffin likes to use a lot of formations. He likes to play tempo. So I think Florida's defense is going to have to find a way to maybe do what it did against LSU, bend but don't break in those key moments. And then finally, if I had to pick just, one other thing to watch for, I'm going with just, it's senior day. A lot of emotion. Can Florida just keep they got a bowl game that they're playing for. I mean, if they win, they become bowl eligible. So there's a lot of things stacked against them on the field. But how does those intangible things come into play?
Wait, but what about the bowl game? I saw where three sites, including the Birmingham Bowl and the Nevada Bowl. Do you really want to send your team to Las Vegas?
Yeah, I don't think they'll be going back. I think the one I've heard that's most likely is the Gasparilla Bowl. If they get bowl eligible with 6 wins, I think you're probably going to see them back in Tampa. Gasparilla Bowl, and there's some talk that it would actually be against USF if USF gets bowl eligible. So that would be an easy bowl trip. It would be getting your practices. It would also be good for the Tampa, the bowl, because you got a local team against the state's flagship team. So I could see the win-win there. But yeah, I don't see Florida going back to the Las Vegas Bowl.
No, I don't think so either. Uh-oh. Okay, I'm going to be in trouble here, because guess who's joining us right now is none other than Lauren Meadows.
I see you bump me for the high end talent tonight. Well, I see how it is. I
mean, you know how it is. I mean, when I have the pleasure and the privilege to meet Scott Carter, to see Scott Carter, I
see how it is. I'm a regular until Scott Carter comes along.
But see, here's the thing about it is that I had to pay a price, because now I'm gonna have to buy him wings next time we see each other.
That's right.
Hopefully in Missouri, so I'm gonna have to buy him wings, and you have to join me.
We'll invite Lauren along.
Yeah, absolutely.
I tell you what,
Well,
I
guys,
I know you got to go because I've kept you on a long time. I want to thank you so much for joining me. It's awesome. I don't know if you can join me again after the season. If you can't, great. If not, I understand. Maybe after recruiting. But you've been great. I appreciate you. What is this now for you? 21. What is it? 21 years at FloridaGators.com.
not quite, man. Some days it feels like that. This is my 15th season, believe it or not. I mean,
50. So you came on the year after the Tebow thing?
I did. See, maybe I'm the problem, man. I mean, I came the year after Tebow.
I, I thought you were on there. I don't know.
No, I
See,
was still at the Tampa Tribune during those years, Animal. So,
that's right. That's right. Oh,
all
and
right,
speaking,
Lauren. Well, good seeing you, man.
Hey, good seeing you,
We'll
Scott.
see
I'll
you.
see you
We'll
Saturday
see
for
you
sure.
Saturday. Lauren's your football guy. He'll be able to break this game down better than I will.
oh yes, he will. Scott, thank you so much. God bless you, man.
All right, see you, fellas.
Thank.
All right, have a
All
good
right.
one.
Bye bye, Scott. Scott Carter, FloridaGators.com, joining me tonight. I know we were going to talk about Buccaneers, but you know what? The heck with that. They take on the Giants at Sunday. Daniel, whatever his name is, I
Jones.
forget. Daniel
Daniel
Jones.
Jones.
He's been demoted. Tommy DeVito, 8675309. Okay, Tommy D, he's going to take over the reins. So we're going to see what happens. Bucks are pretty healthy going into the game. Mike Evans may even see some action as he was in full participation today. So we'll see what happens in the game. It's going to be a 1 o'clock game. See the game on Fox. And no, I believe it's on CBS. I'm not sure. I'll have to look at that a little bit later on when we do our football things a little bit later on. But Lauren Meadows joining me on this edition of the Half Full and Cup of Joe. Finally, I'm sorry about the Scott Carter deal, but you know what? When I get a guy like Scotty on,
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you get them heavy hitters on, man, you got to do your thing. So I definitely understand.
I
No,
love
no,
Scotty.
no issues. You know, I was actually at a little high school basketball game, so
Oh, nice,
shot
nice, nice,
home.
nice.
Got a buddy of mine coaching the school. They were playing Oak Hall here in Gainesville, so I
Mm-hmm.
go check him out.
Yeah, O'Connell has been a legend in the high school basketball throughout the years. I remember them growing up.
Hmm.
First of all, how you doing, man? What's happening with the Lauren Meadows clan?
Hey man, just busy, man. Got another busy weekend. We had the doubleheader last Saturday. I was doing the radio for the women's basketball game against Miami, and
Oh
then
wow.
over to the LSU game, and kind of doing double duty. I won't be doing the radio, but we'll be going up to Tallahassee to check out the women. They play FSU tomorrow, and then back to Gainesville on Saturday for the big one against Ole Miss. So you know,
And it is quite a big one. And I don't know how long
absolutely.
you've been. I don't know how long you've been on, but I got some news. I got some interesting news. We've always shared it with our fans. We'll talk about this in just a little bit. Um, it's Miss Ole Miss comes into this game. Jackson Dart, quarterback, excellent quarterback. He's like 375 yards shy of reaching 4,000, becoming uh, breaking Eli Manning's record at Ole Miss. They got a few players on offense, but it's the defense that tells the story about this team that could get the Florida Gators, and make no mistake about it, could get the Florida Gators some headaches come Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, they pretty much do what Nick Saban was doing at Alabama. Pete Golding, now the defensive coordinator. They do a lot of what the cover three, cover seven, which is like a kind of a mix match type of coverage, but they kind of give you a look of a quarters look, and then they play a lot of cover three behind it, and then try to get pressure really with four. And they've got
What
about
is
go ahead.
what is a cover three? We hear cover one, cover two, cover three. For fans, what is a cover three?
Basically, cover three is simply put, you have three defensive backs that are covering the three parts of the field. So
Okay.
basically, to make it simple, one guy's got the middle, one guy's got hash, the outside, the other one's got hash the outside on the other side. And then you will have underneath coverage, which you can play with that a little bit. You can match it underneath if you want. You can pass it off. Matching would mean you lock onto the guy wherever he goes. Zoning it, you drop basically. You have a guy in the flat to cover underneath, a couple guys in the flat, and then you have guys that are in the hook to curl zone. So basically what it entices you to do is continue to throw the ball underneath and try to either drive on plays or make a tackle or get you to force a ball into that hook to curl zone where, and then sometimes you see that that skinny post or that seam route, and the quarterback has to do a decent job of getting the safety to move one way and then hitting the seam or the post route on the other side. And a lot of times, obviously, you make a mistake. That's when you see the ball picked or the receiver getting his head knocked in. So
is that like a 4-4-3 type of defense that they're doing?
It could be 4-4-3. It could be 4-3-4, and then you just drop the guy down in the box. I look for them to maybe do some of that because Florida will be running the football. I mean, you can get in a heavy look and go, 5-2-4. I mean, you could do it a lot of different ways. I mean, the beauty of these defenses is they give you so many different looks, and Golding has some creeper defense principles as well in there where they'll show you 6 rushing, but it only comes with 4. And they've got some guys, obviously, one of the guys Florida fans will be familiar with, Princely Umamielen, who was at Florida last year, will be one of those guys on the edge, and he's starting to do some things. So, yeah, I mean, but that's what you're going to see. But I think they're going to give Lagway maybe a little bit of a what you call a too high look, at least pre-snap, because when you give Lagway a single safety, I mean, he has been productive as almost any quarterback in the country versus single high looks, which is one safety basically sitting in the middle of the field behind the defense. So if you give him a too high look, you got to be a little bit more manipulative with your pocket presence and where you drop the ball and things like that. So it can be interesting. You there?
Sorry about that. Yeah, I was doing kind of like trying to do like a little research into Ole Miss. I couldn't find a lot, but I found a name that became very interesting to me, and I think I'm pronouncing it wrong. Willie Puges, defensive.
Pegues.
Is that who it is?
Yeah.
That guy seems to be a stud.
Yeah, he's a really good defensive lineman, and then they give him the ball on short yardage. So he's like, you're not young. I mean, you old enough. We both remember Refrigerator Perry.
Oh yeah,
how they used to give him kind of same kind of deal. They put him in at basically like a fullback, and they'll hand him the football. A couple of times, I think they've even put him in like the single eye and handed him the ball. So he's a really good defensive lineman, very athletic, obviously, and athletic enough to run the ball. So he will be – I'm not sure how many touchdowns. I'm going to look it up before I write my analysis tomorrow or late tonight, probably tomorrow morning. Excuse me. And, so that's, he's definitely a guy that, once again, one of the guys that helps spearhead that defense, which is playing pretty well right now.
Yeah, and I mean, this is going to be a very interesting game, and I would say this is a coaching audition for Lane Kiffin. Let's get that out of the way. Lane's not coming here. It's Billy Napier, make no mistake about it. And as I look at it, I look at this offense. It's been playing very well here lately, and I said to myself, why would you want to bring in an offensive coordinator when you have something that's actually working very well for you?
I'm not sure that they'll bring in an offensive coordinator. What I would say is he could bring in somebody, not necessarily to change the system, but he could either give the responsibility to somebody. I just think that's a lot on your plate as a head coach. I'm not saying that Billy Napier is doing a bad job calling plays. I actually had an argument with somebody this week that I thought he called a really good game on Saturday. I thought he called a pretty decent game because even, you look at a couple of the picks that Lagway threw or could have thrown. I mean, on the one, Elijah Badger is running wide open right in front of him. And then another time he just threw a bad ball. So which happens to any quarterback. I don't care who it is. So the big thing I just think is it's a lot for a head coach in games that can be close where you need to be totally dialed in. And I think because, being able to talk to guys and have conversations while your defense is out there and in the kicking game and some of those things that have kind of plagued Florida, I just think that if he concentrated on the team and not necessarily being the primary play caller, it would help this football team. Schematically, I don't have a problem with what they do. I think you're going to see a totally different setup next year because of the legs of Lagway and some of the stuff they're doing, and really having 3 gifted backs coming back. So I don't think that it just, the biggest issue in the last 3 years under Billy Napier has been that they have been subpar on defense. They scored 30 points a game last year. We were there, Animal. We saw it. I mean, we literally saw them score 30 points and lose the game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
If Travis Etienne goes out of bounds, they're bowl eligible and beat Missouri. I mean, it doesn't go out of bounds. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And so, just some of that, but we also saw them give up a 4th and 17. So, So, what I'm saying? So that's, I think that I think offense sells tickets and that's what people want to harp on. But the problem is this defense. It is not the offense. It wasn't Graham Mertz. He wasn't a problem. It wasn't the offensive line. He wasn't a problem. It wasn't Montrell Johnson. He wasn't a problem. The fact that they have not been able to stop teams consistently over the course of 3 years in certain situations is, so
yeah.
Is that me or you?
I have no idea. Anyways, anyhow, we talked about Elijah Badger. Saturday, he led the team with 6 catches for 131 yards and 5 receptions for 17 plus yards. In fact, it was funny. I was talking with Scotty about this earlier. I was having lunch today, and I was replaying the game in the third quarter, and all I kept on seeing was Lagway the Badger, Lagway the Badger, Lagway the Badger, Lagway the Badger. I mean, it was like, and through the Gators football game notes that I have in my hot little hands here, 23-yard TD reception in the first quarter, but in the third, 19, 17, 24, and 36. I mean, he just, and we're seeing that Elijah Badger is the key target from a passing perspective. And of course, Jaden Ball is the key running back, as we saw in that 55-yard run, which was just amazing in the fourth quarter. I mean, it was just really amazing. But I look at this game coming up Saturday, and number one, I see it as kind of an adjustment for this team because I see this team, they have not played a noon game all year long. If you think about it, wait a minute. There was a noon game earlier this year.
Didn't they play Georgia at noon or no?
No, 3:30. That was a 3:30. That was a 3:30 game. But they've not had a 12 o'clock home game this year.
Who? Oh, you talking about you talking about
Gators?
The Gators. Oh, yeah.
The Gators have not.
You're right.
No,
you're right.
The Gators have not had a 12 o'clock home game.
I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Ole Miss. Yeah.
Oh heck no! Don't. I'm just hang on. Let me stop you there. No, the Gators have not had a 12 o'clock home game this year at home, so it's a little bit different. Right. I mean, they're going to be doing Gator Walk at breakfast time at 9:30 in the morning while having my bacon and eggs. Don't worry, I'll have my phone watching Gator Walk. Hopefully, Scotty tapes it for me. But I mean, it's kind of a little bit different, kind of a transition. I hope these guys get into that mode as they get ready get ready for the game, because that could have something to do with the game. Now, having said that, I have a little motivation for you. Okay, and I said it to Scotty a few minutes ago. I'm going to show you. Earlier tonight, I happened to be scanning through X, and lo and behold, Lauren, I and by the way, you can't see me, right?
I can.
Okay, I'm going to show you this. Okay, I'm going to show you this. This is through something called
Mm-hmm.
HottyToddy.com, and it's got a picture of Lane Kiffin. And what it says is that thankfully, this is a quote from Lane Kiffin allegedly. Thankfully, the swamp isn't what it used to be. We will handle the noise just fine. Now, when
I saw that. I would I don't know.
I
I mean,
I
if you believe it's true, then that could be
I
something Lane Kiffin would say. If
I
it isn't,
if I
yeah,
am if I, and I gave to Scotty, and hopefully he gives it to the game day people to put that up on the board on the screen
right,
to tell the people, really, we're quiet. You
right,
really want to stir up that noise
right.
this late in the seat, you know this late before a big game when you're fighting for a spot in the playoff, because that's what this is about. This is about Ole Miss trying to make the playoffs, and this is about Ole Miss making the playoffs, and they lose, they're out. Florida goes to a postseason bowl game, but even if Florida loses, I'm not worried about it because I think they'll be able to defeat Florida State next week.
I would agree.
That's another story altogether for
Right.
next week, and I think next week is Thanksgiving, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it
So
is.
of that, I'm glad I'm reminded of that. So I may have to alternate my show and see if we can't do something for Tuesday. We'll talk about that later on. But I mean, you see something like that, and you got to be pissed.
Well, of course, if it's true, absolutely. I mean, that would encourage the fans to be loud, show up early, be ready to go. Um, obviously, not encouraging belligerent drunkenness,
No, but you know what I'm
but
saying.
get a little toasty. I mean, get a little toasty. I'm always dialed in, but yeah,
Yeah.
get your little morning mimosa, get yourself rolling.
There you go. Get
You
that
know,
mimosa going,
and
baby.
and then come ready to jump on Ole Miss. I mean, that's definitely. I mean, it will be, obviously Ole Miss is playing a lot of different places. So, and it is the SEC. There's very few stadiums outside of maybe Vandy that aren't loud. So, I mean, it's one of those things where the crowd more will need to be maybe there to encourage the Florida players, to give them energy, to give them pizzazz, to give them some buzz going, especially if they're able to get a couple stops early. That's where I think the crowd could be even more. I mean, if Lane Kiffin said that, I mean, let's face it, who's his idol? I mean, Steve Spurrier is his idol. So he gonna
Yeah.
throw some stuff out there. I mean, wears a visor because of Spurrier. So
Yeah.
he gonna throw little things out
Do you
there,
think that
and
you,
obviously he was. From what I understand, he was not pleased that Florida did not call him uh, for the
when Mullen
job
got fired?
when they right. So, but that's hearsay too. So I mean, but there could be
Does he?
something
Is
to that.
that true that he actually wears a visor in honor of Steve Spurrier?
Yes. If you
I didn't know that.
have you ever been to Spurriers?
No, I never.
Okay,
I never
well,
have.
you got to come to town, and then so in Spurriers, this is a shout out to Spurriers, Freddie Weeby and the guys,
Go.
Andrew, all those guys. They do a great job. So when you walk up, there's Spurriers, and then there's a rooftop bar visors, and in there when you walk, they've got all Spurriers visors, but then they also have a painting of every coach that wears a visor because of Steve Spurrier. So
Oh, that's cool.
trivia question to our listeners: who do we maybe think is in that photo? It's
what
a
was the
painting
name?
with all the coaches that wear a visor because of Spurrier, past
Dan
and
Mullen.
present.
Dan Mullen.
Mullen is not in it, but he did wear a visor
He
because of
did wear a
Spurrier.
visor.
Yeah, but Mullen's not in the painting.
Mullen, I kind of hope not. But
Well,
boy,
Lane's in it.
Lane obviously would be in it.
Mhm.
I can't think of a head coach in mind that.
Gus Malzahn.
Yeah, Gus Malzahn. Yes, I forgot
Yeah.
about him.
Now
Yeah,
think
now
about former Florida assistant, pretty
former
well known coach from your neck of the woods, basically, or near your neck of the woods.
near my neck of the woods.
Actually, two coaches
Drinkowitz.
from near your neck of
Drinkowitz.
it. No, but I think Drinkowitz is one that wears a visor too because of Spurrier. Gundy and Stoops.
Yeah, Gundy and Stoops. That's right. Yeah.
And
Bob
then
Stoops will be understandable. Yeah.
yeah, and then Chip Kelly.
Chip Kelly. Yep.
And then I think there's one. I had to go back and look, but I know those are the names. And so it's a pretty. I'll take a picture of it and send it to you.
I would love to see. I would love.
Next time
it's an expensive place.
It is high casual dining. That's how.
Okay.
They.
I'll have to get online and look at the menu.
Here's what I will say: is if you're not a drinker, you could easily get out of there for under $70.
Oh, heck.
Okay.
That's not too bad.
If you're a drinker, you're gonna be around the century mark.
Whoa.
And if you or if you add dessert, but no, it's good food. I mean, it's farm to table. Everything was sourced from about 45. Everything from the seafood to the beef to the chicken was all sourced within a 45-mile radius. So, I'm gonna tell Freddie Weeby owes me some money for giving him a shout out. But no, it's a great restaurant. It's our favorite restaurant in Gainesville.
Well, next time I make a trip down there, maybe we can get together. You can meet my wife, and
absolutely we can. You gotta pass my house to get to Tampa.
Literally. Oh, really?
Nice. I'm a minute off the highway. You gotta pass. So if you come down 75, you gotta pass my house.
Okay. Well, then I'm gonna put it on the mark next year when I come down. Real quick. Bryce Underwood, the overall #1 recruiter for 2025, announced today that he's flipping and he's going to Michigan.
That was he was going. Where was that? He was going to.
I don't remember.
Oh, LSU.
LSU.
He was going to LSU.
Yeah. And then he's flipping.
Okay.
He's flipping to. In fact, it was such a hot story that Adam Schefter, he was talking about NFL football, and he broke the story himself.
He's
just so excited about that. And here's the irony to all that is, and I'll tell you a couple of things. Number one, it's funny that he switches and goes to Michigan, and for the Florida Gators, they pick up 3 recruits in 3 days thanks to that win over LSU. Mm-hmm. And wonder how winning takes care of everything.
Oh yeah, I mean, you want to be a big boy recruiter, just win games. I mean, you look at even Colorado. You know, they flipped a kid from USC that was committed to USC quarterback,
right,
as a 5-star in that same realm as the Underwood kid. He's committed to Colorado now. So you know, and so and even funny, a further story, maybe that lends itself to the fact that Dion has told him that he's going to be there, you know, for the foreseeable future, because definitely the kid wouldn't commit to college.
And I was just fixing to ask you about Dion. We'll get more into this next week, but real quick, do you think Dion would make the trip to Florida State if they asked him? I mean,
well, I don't think they're going to fire Norvell, but
oh really?
No, they just signed. He just signed the extension. They owe him, you know, and they don't got that kind of buyout type of money. I think it's buyout. Yeah, they just extended him, you know, when they went undefeated, basically.
Okay,
and
I did not know.
I don't know. From what I understand, he has not always been gracious to the people at Florida State. So I'm not sure if he would be welcomed in Tallahassee. I don't know that for a fact. That is me observing, but I know that they talked about, for instance, this is true. There was a press conference, and basically proclaimed himself to be an HBCU grad, because I think that's where he actually finished up his degree at one of the smaller historically black colleges. And he even kind of said, I'm an HBCU grad, I'm not an FSU grad, which that is true. But you and I both know if you want to be the head coach at FSU, you might not want to, you might just let that question go past and say, yeah, it was a good time, blah, 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 blah. But I don't know that for sure. I'm just,
Yeah, and so that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I was talking to Scotty because it did not hit me until we were talking. I've known Scott Carter a long time,
right.
and so shortly before you came on, one of my first ever Florida Gator games was in fact against Ole Miss in 2008. The famous
Okay.
speech. Okay,
Oh,
that's
wow.
before. Yeah, Florida lost that game, and
Mhm.
I'll never forget. I'm walking out the stadium. And I didn't know this till I got home 3 hours later of Tebow um, um, with the speech and all. So it was just amazing. So hey, listen. You reminded me that thanks to this conversation, Thanksgiving is next Thursday. Do
Yeah.
you think you can join Tuesday? Uh,
As it stands right now, I think I can.
okay, all right.
Yeah,
Let's shoot
let's
for
well, I was,
Tuesday.
yeah, I can. I mean, you have me, yeah, I got a host Tuesday. So
Oh,
just,
that's right. You
but
got
that's
you.
cool. Just get me on early and I'll be here. Just get me
Okay,
on
okay,
first and then,
okay.
yeah.
We'll do some maybe do my show a little bit earlier next
Oh,
week.
well, or whatever, or just, I'll be on at 8. I don't go on till 9 o'clock my time. So,
Okay, all right,
yeah.
cool. Okay. Well, listen, I do have to get going because I got something else I got to do. But thank you so much for joining me tonight. It was great. We'll see you on Tuesday. Hopefully, talk about a Florida Gator win and look ahead to the final game of the year at FSU.
Most definitely.
So, Lauren, thank you very much. He is Lauren
All right, man.
Meadows, editor and writer with GatorBaitMedia.com, hosted with Buddy Martin and company. We want to get you out of here, but we got some business to take care of first. And of course, the top 12 in college football: Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Indiana, Notre Dame, Alabama, Georgia. Ole Miss is ninth. Tennessee's 10th. Miami is 11th. And Boise State is 12th. Bring up the rear would be Colorado, Texas A&M, BYU, SMU, and Boise State. So you want to keep an eye on those as we head down towards the stretch. Now, games that are important this week. Let's see here. Let's bring it up as we got some games this week. NC State's at Georgia Tech right now. Purdue will be in Michigan State tomorrow. Saturday games: Wake Forest at Miami. Ole Miss, we've been talking about it all night. Iowa will be at Maryland. Other games: UTEP will be at Tennessee. Let's see other games to keep our eye on. Kentucky will be at Texas, 2:30 on ABC following the Florida game. Colorado will be at Kansas. That is a 2:30 game. Wisconsin will be in Nebraska. That might be a very good game to watch our eye on. Army will be at Navy. That is a special time, 6 p.m. Central Time on NBC. The night game will feature Alabama at Oklahoma. That's going to be a doozy of a game. Vanderbilt at LSU on the SEC network. USC will be at UCLA. That's always a good game. That's a 9:30 start Eastern Time on NBC. Now, of course, we not only talk about college football, but we also talk about the Buccaneers. Uh, Obviously tonight, Pittsburgh at Cleveland. 7-3. Cleveland's up. They're about ready to go to the half here in just a minute. Minnesota, Chicago, 12 o'clock. Detroit, Indianapolis, New England, and Miami. Tampa Bay at New York. That is a 1 p.m. game. Dallas at Washington. Kansas City at Carolina. Tennessee will be at Houston. Denver at Las Vegas. San Francisco at Green Bay. Arizona at Seattle. And Philadelphia will be at the Chargers. No, at the Rams for a 7:20 game on Sunday Night Football. Monday night, the Ravens will be at Los Angeles. The teams that have to bye this week: Atlanta, Buffalo, Cincinnati, New Orleans, New York Jets, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. By the way, the Jets fired their general manager earlier today. Okay, so we have had a lot of fun here. It's been fantastic. We'll be back on Monday. We're going to do a Tuesday night show, 7 o'clock p.m. Lauren will join me, and then whoever else we can get on, that'll be great. Given that it's going to be Thanksgiving week. Thank you to Scott Carter. Thank you to Lauren Meadows. Thank you all that joined in tonight. It's been great. You all have yourselves a great weekend. And as I always like to say, if you're not a Gator, you're primed to be Gator bait. Thank you all so much. Have a good one, and go Gators.
Thanks for joining Joe Fulford on Half Full and a Cup of Joe. Don't forget to tune in next time for more football talk, analysis, and fun. Follow us on social media to stay up to date on all things Half Full and a Cup of Joe. And remember, always keep your cup half full and your team spirit full. See you next time.